This time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions, we talk about filtering, I give a channel update, and I quit my job. G'day everybody, welcome back. Looking good, Tassie. Looking cracking good. So the Tasmanian government has now introduced filtering laws in Tasmania, and I don't know that I'm all that happy about it, to be frank, because I mean I've been doing it forever. Ever since I was, have been riding bikes on the road, I've been doing it. When I lived in Queensland, we used to be able to filter. We used to filter up the bloody highway when it was chock-a-block with traffic jams. We used to call it the Honda Highway, straight up the middle. And ever since I've been in Tasmania, I have also filtered, predominantly at the lights. However, if the traffic has come to a complete standstill or is crawling along, I will filter, always have. And I never had an issue, because the reality is that, and I think I've stated it before, the problem I have with it is, in Tasmania there were no laws that said you couldn't filter. There was no law that said you could, but there was also no law that said you couldn't. And what that meant was that the police, if they observed you doing something that they deemed to be unsafe, they would stop you, and then you could potentially be charged with failure to stay in your lane, or fail to indicate, or pass on the left, or they'd find something to book you with. But if you weren't being a dickhead about it, and you just were sensible, then the chances are, and I found, that they just leave you alone. But now there's laws governing it. Now, I mean, there are laws. Part of that legislation is to deal with there's sort of two parts of it that I think are worthwhile. One, it means that the drivers will become aware of it, hopefully. Here's hoping, eh? I'm sure that there'll be a fair bit of aggro, at least in the early stages of the introduction of this legislation, because the drivers tend to view it as queue jumping, and guess what? It is. I'm not going to sit there on my air-cooled bike chugging along in that bloody traffic. I will queue jump, but by the same token, it does just this bloody this truck in front of me is throwing bloody chunks of chaff at me. I'll be a bit worried about that back bale actually dropping straight off the back of the truck. Perhaps we should just give him some distance, even though he's as slow as. Yeah, so driver education, not enough of it. Sorry, Tas government, not enough of it. The only bloody thing that was out there was a little bit by the RSCT. There was a bit of an animation on how we should filter as motorcyclists. I'm going to have to go around this guy. we should filter. It does briefly touch, I think, on making sure you get out of the way of them when they're trying to filter cars. But now what we've got, anyway, I'm bloody ranting and raving and waffling on. What we have now is a piece of legislation that governs how we should filter. And if we get it wrong, we get a fine. Hey, let's go to Clifton Beach. I'll turn around up here. Yeah, so we get it wrong and we get fined. Now it's one of the lowest fines in Australia. It's only 156 bucks or something, but it's still a fine nonetheless. Recently there was a case on the mainland, I think it was in Victoria, it might have been New South Wales, where a driver was fined $600 something for trying to block a motorcyclist from filtering. He deliberately put his bloody arm out the window, the muppet. And of course, as is often the case nowadays, the motorcyclist had a GoPro. Listen, he's got the worst turning circle. Oh, but listen to it. Oh, listen to it. That was a bit silly. So yeah, my view is that yeah, great that they're recognising that, you know, we can help free up congestion and keep riders safer and keep the traffic flowing by allowing filtering. But I just kind of wish they'd said to the Tasmanian Motorcycle Council, and listen, I want to thank those guys, and particularly Terry McCarthy, for listening to the riders and pushing for it. However, I kind of wish they'd have just said to the council, oi, psst, listen, don't go make a lot of noise about it, go and do it, but let's not get caught up in this whole legal, let's not bicker and argue over who killed who. And it would have been a lot better off, I reckon. Alright, so Mick's dad's bike, Bill's bike, his GS1000. Progressing well. If you're a patron, you'll already have seen at least episode 1, possibly episode 2 by the time this goes there on YouTube. And if you're not a patron, jump over to patreon.com and chuck us $1 a month and you can be a patron too. However, pre-releases are usually reserved for $5 and above. Guys, because I want to look after the people that support me and look after and help me fund this crazy bloody pastime. But no, it's progressing well. We've had a few hiccups. It's getting on top of it slowly but surely. The thing about these old bikes and trying to get them going, and you know, you start. I sort of mentioned it in one of the new episodes on the GS1000 that there's usually a reason that people park bikes for 20 years, and it's not because they've lost their license or they've lost interest in it. Usually there's something wrong with it. And I'm sort of starting to think, I'm looking at this bike and I notice that there's no tabs anymore for the side covers, and there's bits being trimmed off the frame, and the airbox was loose on the bike, and I'm starting to think, I think this might have been someone's cafe racer project, and they put it in the too hard basket. Or there was a serious issue that they couldn't resolve. But you know, time will tell. We'll get through. We'll get through it. We'll get it running, and we're trying to do it on a budget. And I've told Bill that I won't, you know, I won't do anything without his consent, and you know, we're trying to keep it under control because the cost is an issue. You know, he's a retired man. The cash cow has dried up. He's got to rely on his superannuation, his retirement fund. So I'm not going to go and spend it on him without him knowing exactly what's going on. So he seems committed, and we're going to keep moving through the project, and I'll keep you guys up to date as we go. Let's go have a look at the beach. But before we do, let's just have a look at this bike. Do I feel weird walking down the sand with a helmet on? Yes. G'day, mate. Not much surf to be had there. Well, I was actually going to put the drone up, but it's a bit blowy. I still might see how it takes it. Oh, well, that was all right. I enjoyed that. It was a bit windy for the drone, but it kept coming up with a high wind warning on the screen, but still, it was fun. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that thing. I'm getting more and more confidence. It does have a function where it can track you, but I need to find somewhere where there's not a lot of trees and things where it can lose you. before I tried that. So anyway, then down to the elephant in the room that's in the title. I quit my job. So, you know, that's only the second time. The last time was 30 years ago, where I actually walked in and gave notice. And I didn't take the decision lightly, I can tell you, because I really enjoy what I'm doing. But an opportunity knocked, and there's one thing about me: I'll never die wondering. Sometimes to my detriment, but so no. What's happening is, so at the moment I'm a project manager. I work in engineering projects, and I really enjoy it because I'm learning a lot. I very quickly realised, with the calibre of people that work at the place I work now, I very quickly realised I knew very little, and had a great opportunity to learn, and I have picked up so much, and I'm terribly appreciative of the opportunities that were provided to me. And the people are great, and big corporations need to remember that is probably their greatest asset. And sadly for me, I can see a change coming, and I think there's going to be some fairly significant overhauls there, and I'm feeling quite vulnerable. And as luck would have it, a former colleague of mine from Carlton United Breweries now has his own consultancy firm, and he was doing some work with a wine-making business here in Tasmania, and they just happened to say, hey, we're looking for someone to look after our maintenance. Is there anyone you can recommend? And he mentioned my name, and they called me, and we had a couple of conversations back and forth, and I went and had a look at it, and I'm loving what I see. It's a really dynamic team of people. Like, they're really enthusiastic, and it's a small privately owned business. So essentially what they do is, you know, if Andy's motorcycle obsessions had a vineyard and he grew, you know, a couple of 100 tonne a year, and he wanted to make wine, he could go along there and give them the grapes, and they'd crush them, make wine, put it in a bottle, whack a label on it in a carton, and off you go. And you know, it's a really good business model. And wine in Tasmania is going gangbusters. In fact, wine in Australia, period, is going gangbusters. Thank you, China. Thank you for discovering it. So, yes, I'm going to be the maintenance supervisor. And that's just a bit of a fancy title for a one-man band, so I'm getting back on the tools, which I'm excited about. So I'll be spannering, I'll be looking after any CapEx projects, I'll be managing contractors, developing and maintaining a preventative maintenance plan, and spare parts inventory. So, you know, ground floor stuff. Really almost greenfield. Even though the business has been going for 14 years, they haven't had any structure in that department, and that's what they're looking for me to come along and provide, and I'm super excited about it. So I'm back on the plonk, but it's not beer this time, it's wine, so that's cool, man. I'm really excited. I'll start in a few weeks. The people where I work now have been very gracious. I was required to give 4 weeks notice, and I'm seeing that through because I've got quite a few projects up in the air at the moment, and I'm juggling, and I need to be They need to be handed over properly to the various guys that are going to be looking after the various projects. And I wish them all the best. I wish them all the luck in the world. Last thing you want to do here in Tasmania, false neutral. The last thing you want to do here in Tasmania is burn bridges. Because, you know, you might end up working with these people again. You'll bump into them in the street, you'll see them in social events, you've got mutual friends. It just gets real awkward if you're a dickhead. And you never know, you know, it might come to pass that I want to go knocking on the door again looking for a job. So you don't want to upset the wrong people. And not only that, as I said before, they're bloody great. There's some really talented people there, extremely clever people. But I'm looking forward to the new future. Now, what that does mean for me though is a massive inconvenience in terms of my tools. I've gone through my toolbox at home and sorted it out, and I've actually purged it of a lot of crap. I had old Whitworth and BS spanners in there that were a legacy of my time when I worked in an abattoir, because the whole place was bolted together with galvanised bolts, which were all Whitworth. And I've donated them to a former workmate who I know plays with British cars, and he's you know, he'll put them to good use. We also separated out motorcycle and car specific tools, so I'm sort of left with the bare bones of what I'm going to need, and that's left me short at home, so I'm going to need to go and splash out on some new spanner sets and what have you not. Might just mean I have to take the ute to work more frequently than the bike if I need to ferry tools back and forward. But generally I only work on the channel stuff, you know, like this GS1000 project at the moment. I only do it on weekends because I'm that damn tired by the time I get home from work, and you know, you got life. So I've got a school-age stepson that needs to be looked after and picked up and dropped off wherever, and my wife works shift work, and you know, she works long hours, starts at stupid times in the morning, and you know, we got to share the load at home. So through the week it's life, and then on the weekends, if I'm not going for a ride, I'll do some work on a bike for the channel. Be nice, look, you know, if all of the subscribers to my channel tipped in a couple of bucks a week, I mean a month, I could do it full time, but that's wishful thinking. But no, I'm looking forward to being part of the team at Winemaking Tasmania. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.